And welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show. I'm Deborah Prinzing. This is episode 564, part 2. I'm thrilled to share part 2 of this show with you, a virtual studio visit with longtime Slow Flower Society member and pioneering urban flower farmer and sustainable designer, Molly Culver of Molly Oliver Flowers. Molly has worked with the Slow Flower Summit to create an enriching post-summit program for our attendees who want to dive deeper into her floral world and floral philosophy. Let's meet Molly and learn more about the New York City Flower District walking tour, which takes place from 10 to 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday, June 29th, followed by a separate event, a lunch and design demonstration that takes place from noon to 2 in the Molly Oliver Flowers Brooklyn studio. These are available for 2 different fees or a combined fee, and I'll share all those details with you. So let's jump right in and meet Molly. Hi there, everybody. This is Deborah Prinzing of the Slow Flowers Show, and we've got some special visual eye candy for you today. I want to introduce my good friend, Molly Culver of Molly Oliver Flowers in Brooklyn. Hi, Molly.
Hi, Deborah.
Hey, we're going to see each other in person in 2 weeks at the Slow Flowers Summit. But first, I just have to acknowledge you've been such a great partner in Slow Flowers. You're one of our earliest members, early guest on the podcast. And last year, you were a featured speaker at the Slow Flowers Summit in 2021. So all of those are good things.
Yes, we've known each other for so long, and I've just always been such a huge admirer and so grateful for everything you do to pull flowers, florists and farmers together. So, and last year was a lot of fun. I can't wait to reconvene soon.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And actually, that was kind of just to digress, that farmer florist connection was really a big part of your presentation because you talked about how sustainable floristry is influenced by flower farming. So you're deep into your relationship with your flower farmers. And I was just acknowledging before we started recording that Molly Oliver Flowers is in year 3 of this really fun, maybe started because of COVID, but evolved into something really powerful, seasonal flower project. Can you just talk a little bit about it? And I'll pop up the page from your website so people can see how it's structured. What got you started on this?
Definitely, the void that COVID created in terms of events. In March of 2020, we had about 40 events on the calendar, and within a week or two, those were all postponed. And so within a few weeks, I was sort of like coming down from the initial shock of the pandemic and thinking about, oh my gosh, all these farmers I typically work with who have planted out fields and have greenhouses full of plugs and flowers for the coming event season are not going to have their usual outlets and clients. And so I knew there were a lot of flowers out there, and certainly I was thinking a lot about so many New Yorkers just cooped up inside, and it was during the lockdown phase. People really weren't going outside much, and when you live in a super small apartment in New York City, one of the things that gets you through is like access to the outdoors and access to the parks and all of that. And so sort of a back burner idea of bringing locally farmed flowers to a wider audience was there, and I hadn't yet been able to do anything with that, just being so busy with events. And so just called up farmers, asked them if they would be interested in wholesaling large amounts of flowers each week, and they were definitely game. And so we launched an e-commerce website basically overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a huge response of people just really eager to have that beauty and piece of nature in their house. And so we started doing seasonal flower subscriptions essentially. And, the first year we did, I think, one size and every single week, and we were delivering it all ourselves, like door to door, which quickly we realized that wasn't sustainable for the long run. But we now have evolved to offering pickup and delivery. We have about 20 partners around New York City that service pickup sites like a traditional CSA. And I work with around 10 to 20 farmers who supply
Mm.
for the project.
Mm.
So people get a different seasonal flower every week, and they get a newsletter with information about that flower and, you know, expected vase life and tips and tricks. And
I for some reason am a subscriber to that newsletter or one of your newsletters, and I just think it's really it's so enriching, and you take a lot of care into customer education, which we've all said is really the secret sauce to get this
yeah,
whole industry turned around. Telling people
yeah,
about the flower, who grew it, how they need to care for it, and why you love it. I That's so sweet. Show us what you're sending out this week. And I think there's some paper on your table that keeps rattling when you put your hands down.
oh,
So
I'm so
maybe you
sorry.
could, that's okay. I'm just going to ask you to move that.
We're doing scoop scabiosa this week.
Oh, that color is crazy.
From Hickory Grove Gardens. They're in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, so a little bit like northwest of Philly.
Oh, geez.
And this, sorry, I have to figure out.
Yeah, that color is good. Just put it right in front of your face.
Yeah, right. It's just in front of the face. There you go.
That's stunning. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Well,
and she
let's.
also got this beauty.
Is this now? How will these go out? Will these go out in a single composed wrap, or
Yeah,
do people
yeah.
get
We're
bases?
working on coming up with a recipe for how many stems of each color each member will get, and then we will process them a little bit and package them in our own packaging. Just brown paper sleeves, nothing fancy. That's sort of the appeal, was like trying to be an alternative to, you know, things that are over packaged, essentially always plastic wrap, things that me as a consumer, whenever I'm gifted flowers, I'm like, oh, you know, like this is such a drag. A lot of this like waste that comes along with this.
Sure. Oh, I agree. But
Really,
that's again part of the education. You're kind of letting people know that's part of your decision making, right?
yeah, yeah. I think people are, we're sort of meeting people in the moment. I was talking to another florist about this in terms of events. You know, I think people are looking for more environmentally friendly alternatives when it comes to event design, and certainly also just retail bouquets. So, you know, meeting people where they're at, where they're thinking.
Yeah. So is this one of the most popular ones? 12 bouquets biweekly, $50 per week.
Yeah.
So what a bargain! I mean,
That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, 12 bouquets is popular. I think honestly, our biggest seller was full season this year. I did like a deep discount in December. So people were able to get this full season 40 weeks for as little as $40 a week.
okay, I'm trying to find that. I guess it's kind of a countdown. Now you have it as the remaining season, right?
Right. Yeah. So 45 a week for people that invest for the remainder of the season.
If they somehow miss spring, they can jump in and participate for the summer.
Yeah, we're not doing it seasonally anymore. We're just offering quantities of bouquets. So you can buy 4, 8, 12 at a time, or you can just go for the whole season, and you can do it weekly or bi-weekly.
So, so creative. And you have deployed designers or your studio designers to help you pull this together. And then do you have delivery people, or do you have a crew of delivery people?
Yeah, we have 3 delivery, all ladies right now. And they do the deliveries all around, mostly Brooklyn and Manhattan, a little bit of Long Island City, Queens. And I also have a driver that goes out to get all the farm product on Mondays now.
Wow, there's a lot behind a simple bouquet of anemones that we're seeing on the screen.
Really
also is. Because was so interested when you started announcing like this coffee shop, this restaurant, like you have all these sort of other merchants who are willing to be a pickup site. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, we have at the moment, I think 17 locations around the city that serve as pickup locations. And those were mostly like cold calls that I made at the end of 2020 as I was looking ahead at 21. Like, we can't do this direct door-to-door thing anymore. It's not sustainable or, you know, cost effective for anyone. But at that time, we were still sort of in the middle of the pandemic, you know, like the second wave or whatever. And I think a lot of small shops, a lot of small businesses, especially coffee shops, were like looking for ways to utilize their space. So even if they were just having a window for people to pick up, a lot of local small restaurants and cafes in New York became almost like commissaries, like small
Mm-hmm.
grocery stores, so that they could entice people to come their way for more things when they couldn't have service. So I think that was part of the appeal of, yeah, like we'll host your flower CSA and maybe we'll get a few more people in the door.
Right, right. Or people are picking up provisions that maybe they would have normally. It wasn't. Wouldn't I? We had that in Seattle too. Like the London Plane, they started offering all kinds of baked breads and soup by the quart, and things that people could not dine in but take home. And they added flowers to that offering. So
Yeah.
why not add flowers, especially these beautiful Molly Oliver flowers to your latte? So I love it. Um, so Molly, that is going on right now, and I want to segue to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the special program you're putting together for people attending the Slow Flower Summit. And I guess if someone is local in the tri-state area of New York and they hear about this, they could sign up too. They don't have to be an attendee of the summit, do they?
No, I haven't quite advertised publicly yet, and I will. I was waiting to, wanting to give enough space for people who find out through your newsletters. But I think we're getting to that point where we'll advertise it. But yeah, it's open to anybody.
Great. Well, I'll put this up on the screen. What's behind this is that you and I have been talking for over a year about how to add a tour component before or after the Slow Flower Summit. And the Slow Flower Summit location where the 3 days are is kind of Westchester County, which is about like 45 minutes outside of New York.
Depending on where you're traveling from. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had originally thought, oh, we'll do a farm tour up in Hudson Valley, but that is a logistical challenge for people who are flying in. A lot of the farmers I talked with had other commitments, and you said, Deb, why don't I do a New York City flower walking tour? And I'm like, yeah, why not? So let's come to Molly Oliver Flower's backyard. I'm going to put that up on the screen, and maybe you can talk a little bit about how you designed it. And this is the day that this is taking place is Wednesday, June 29th, which is the day after we finish up with the summit. So it shouldn't be hard for people to get down to the city that Tuesday night or Wednesday morning to join you.
Yeah, hopefully. So yeah, what I organized is to do a walking tour of the 28th Street New York City Flower District, the Wholesale Flower District. And
so awesome. Look at that.
We're going to meet, yeah, there it is on the left. We're going to meet at 11:30. So yeah, hopefully that would give some time for people who are staying upstate to come down.
Oh, wait, it's 10 to 11:30, the morning.
10 to 11:30. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's okay.
11:30. That might make it a bit of an early morning for some people, but
I mean, people can plan. They're adults. We're not going to coordinate their travel, but I guess, I mean, think of all
again, like I was up at 5, and I think a lot of farmers and florists generally are up at.
I was just going to say, how many
10 o'clock
days of your life were you down at this district at 5 or 6 a.m. getting flowers? It's like a regular. That's when it's most crowded, right?
Yeah. So we'll meet at 10, the very leisurely hour of 10 o'clock, and that is almost on purpose because that way we can sort of. The first rush, like all the florists will not be there and the wholesalers will have a little bit more time and space to give us. And there's a few shops in particular that I'm going to take the group that specialize in forging relationships with local farmers. One is a wholesaler of foliage. One is a wholesaler of mostly flowers, cut flowers. And one is sort of a combo foliage and flowers. And the third one, he also sources a lot from California domestically. So, so I'm excited to introduce people, florists, to those 3 particular wholesalers, but I think we'll still have time to sort of take our time in between, and you can certainly poke your head into some of the other really interesting wholesale shops that are maybe doing tropicals or just all the amazing international product that you can see there. I
Oh,
know
that's
a lot
wonderful.
of florists around the country even have wholesale accounts with some of the wholesalers on 28th Street because, like Mayesh, it's sort of the other hub for a lot of just bulk volume of wholesale
Yeah.
flowers.
I have such a good memory of 28th Street Flower District. I'm going to walk down memory lane here. I think I told you this story, Molly. I went to FIT when I was a senior in college, which
Right,
is the
right there.
Fashion Institute of Technology, basically across the street. It's on 28th between 7th and 8th, and the Flower District is between 6th and 7th. So I was homesick. It was like fall. I'd been in New York for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and I walked through that district, and there were these giant boxes of Oregon grown holly that had been brought in to sell for, I guess, Christmas decorations or holiday decorations. And I just went up to this guy and I said, "See that holly? I'm from Oregon and we have some in our yard." And he was like, "Yeah, right, lady." It's like patted me on the head. But
Sure.
but but it's just like this conglomeration of botanicals from all around the world. I think you and your intentionality with the relationships you've forged with these wholesalers, you've elevated their awareness of domestic and local sourcing. Right? I mean, have you seen a change in
Over,
the
yeah,
decade you've been doing this?
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Back 10 years ago, I have powerful memories of being, first of all, like pretty intimidated by the market. It wasn't clear right away like how it works. Nobody takes you in and says, "Here's how this works." Like you kind of have to.
That's why people that's why people need to go on this tour with you.
Yeah. Yes, if only I had had somebody to explain to me, like, yes, you can leave flowers on the shelf, and now you can walk out of here and go look at other flowers before you pay for them. I didn't know that for like 3
Wow.
years. Um, and so that's where like not working for another florist comes to bite you. I could have, but I never did that. So I learned the hard way.
Mm.
But I was always asking, the wholesalers, where did this come from? And then I'd be like, and where did this come from? Where did this come from? And they would just look at me sideways and roll their eyes. But that was sort of my way of starting to learn, like, yeah, which wholesalers buy local and when and what things can I come to expect will come locally and at what times. And that's really, as I've taken record of that and note of that over the years, it's really served the backbone of my business and being able to tell customers and clients, like, here's what you can expect. Um,
Mhm.
and I've had the pleasure also of like connecting wholesalers with farmers that they hadn't known about before, or
Wow.
connecting farmers who have surpluses with these wholesalers.
Wow. That's going to be awesome. And the price for this is $95, and that is for the sort of private walking tour led by you for the morning. And you kind of structured this day into two parts. So you can just do
Yeah.
that and you can stay in New York, or you can go on to the afternoon, which is separately priced. And I'll put that up too, Molly. That is what I'm excited about, your lunch and studio tour, because we're seeing you in your studio right now. So there'll be time for people to get from point A to point B by ride sharing, right?
Yeah, I'm going to organize, and it's already baked into the price. So I will be calling a couple taxis and people won't have to worry about, splitting cost or whatever like that. And they'll just take maybe a few taxis to my place about half an hour from the market, um,
Mm-hmm.
30-minute drive over the Brooklyn. Well, I don't know if we'll take Brooklyn Bridge. I'm not going to sell that, but
We won't hold you to it.
yeah. Yeah, and then we'll come to my studio, and I can give kind of a simple tour of how the studio is organized, um, and the kinds of materials and the kinds of systems that we have in place just to sort of uh, help us in our goal to be as sustainable as possible, facilitate saving product or handling waste in a more sustainable way. But also, I'm hoping, we're going to have a delicious lunch that I'm going to have catered by a local Brooklyn chef. And after that, I think I want to facilitate a real like group discussion about how each of us is approaching sustainability in our different businesses, and use that time to kind of trade ideas, but also get into some of the harder questions about some of the products that are on the market right now that people are kind of raving about or checking out, things like AgriWool, um, floral frogs, and ocean pouches, right? There's these different products that um, I sort of want to interrogate the sustainability of
Mm-hmm.
them a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and use the time to brainstorm, share what is working and what more we could do to reduce reliance on fossil fuels, on plastics, non-renewables.
Right. Wow. It sounds like it's going to be so thoughtful and engaging, and a real chance that a smaller group can achieve. When you have 100 people in a room, it's sort of hard to facilitate that, but you're going to keep this group to what, about 15 or 20 people?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We'll
Wow.
keep it to
Well,
20.
that sounds wonderful. And Matt and I changed the screen off, but I just want to say that is also $95. So together, it's under $200. It sounds like a really phenomenal opportunity to immerse yourself in the life of a New York City florist and a
Mm.
sustainable florist. And I know you're in your studio now. Could you give us a little rotation of the cameras so we can see
Oh, yes.
what's going on? And
Yeah, everyone's dispersed and on break. Sophie's over there.
oh,
Uh,
good. They deserve a break. They've been working for hours. This long table is. Do you do workshops here too, Molly?
I haven't yet, but I want to.
Okay.
We moved into this space May of 2020, so we have still not really gotten to the point where I feel at ease having people in here. Uh, there's not a whole lot of air circulation,
Yeah,
so. But
but
yes,
you
I could
will.
definitely envision doing workshops here for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds like it'll be completely safe for the studio tour
Yeah,
for
we'll wear
people.
masks. That will be fine.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. Well, how big is the space? Because I know you were in a shared studio before COVID hit, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was in 300 square feet for like the first 10 years of my business. This
I
is,
never saw it, but you described it to me because you even had a photographer that you shared it with or something, right?
yeah, I mean, she had another 300 square feet. I
Oh,
have
okay.
300 square feet. This is 800 square feet.
Oh my
And
God, it must feel like luxury now.
it does. And also, it feels too small now. we, yeah, it just, there's a lot more stuff and there's a lot going on now that events are back in full swing. But there is one other florist, Elisa from Rosewood Floral, and she rents a small space at the back there.
Oh,
So
that's
it's fun.
cool.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
cool.
you create a little community. Well, you're asking a lot of this space, and it's got to be functional for you. Especially, I see all that beautiful catinus behind you. That must be for something special coming up.
Yes, tomorrow we are doing a fundraiser at Brooklyn Botanic Garden for the New York Restoration Project, which is actually Bette Midler's nonprofit that was founded to support community gardens.
Oh, right.
So
That's crazy. I love it.
yeah, so we're going to do that tomorrow.
So if people are watching this, then check out the Instagram feed of Molly Oliver Flowers. You might see how the how
Yeah.
the bucket of catinus reemerges as something stunning at the Brooklyn Botanical Garden. That's
I was
awesome,
so
Molly.
excited to find this today. We've been hearing it's been hard for people to find smoke bush this year, but there it
Mm.
was.
Oh my gosh, especially in bloom like that. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Oh my gosh. Well, Molly, I'm so excited to see you at the Slow Flower Summit. You're such a
Me
leader in
too.
our community. And thank you for stepping up and just taking the creative energy to put a tour together that is, I know, is
Oh,
entirely
I'm excited.
optional. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope we get some good attendance, and that people get like another enriching way to connect with what's happening in the Slow
Yeah.
Flowers world.
Oh, I think it'll be so fun. The tour I'm really excited about. I know the wholesalers are as well. They're excited to host and share a little bit about the history of the market, which I think is going to be super interesting, and we'll definitely have a lot of fun. So thank you
Uh,
for helping me to spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great. Well, one more thing I want to mention. I don't even think you know about this, but the first week of August, I saw that you are speaking at the Association of Specialty Cut Flower
Oh
Growers
yeah.
conference.
Yes.
And Slow Flowers is sponsoring your presentation. So
Oh,
yeah,
so
they had this opportunity for to sponsor individual talks. So I was like, well, Molly's the
nice.
girl. We got to do this. Yeah.
That's so nice.
So what do you tell us
Cute.
what you're going to be presenting on, and I'll when I post this in our podcast, I'll put the link so people can check that out.
They asked me to just come and talk about the seasonal flower project, how it works, how I set up the e-commerce, which is really exciting to me because I've had glimmers, I've had thoughts of like wanting to, I don't know, like create a training or a workshop or a way to help other florists learn how to work with farmers and facilitate those relationships, and then also how to market this to people
Yeah,
and to set their expectations in such a way. And if a florist has never, been part of a CSA or managed a CSA, it could be really helpful. So I'm going to be sharing kind of those tactics in the hopes that more florists will be able to support their local regional farmers by taking bulk product. There's so many regional farmers popping up everywhere all the time now. And what I've seen in my local area is that the longer farmers are in it, the more they want to shave off of their grow list and they want to grow more of less. So if they're growing more of less, it makes it easier to do something like a subscription. And so
because
yeah,
the quantities would support
yeah,
multiple customers.
correct. So
Yeah, I think that's really a great observation because that sounds at first you're like, what? You're growing more of less? You mean you have less choice? But actually that's how the farmer's gonna see a profit and be more sustainable in their business.
yeah, to find the flowers that really grow well in their microclimate, and that their community and their market really want.
Hmm.
Um, and I think also, when you've got 20, like as in the Connecticut Flower Collective, when you have 20 farmers all growing, Queen Lime zinnias and they don't all sell, or, it's like people have to figure out how to specialize and kind of find their
Good
niche.
point. Such a good point. There's plenty of bounty for everyone
Yeah.
if the farmer realizes just grow what you're good at and what's going to, be cost effective for you. So,
Or what you
but
love.
I
Yeah.
love your idea of turning that into a training. Let's talk about that and maybe set it up and we'll
Okay.
sponsor it. Yeah, because
Great.
it's you've done all the work to like crack the code on how to do this because it didn't. I mean, you even told me the first year was sort of a break even year for you, just to you know
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
of
and it's been a process of figuring out, like which varieties really do work for this, like for transport, for all the additional handling that happens, and then obviously just to last um, in the customer's vase, and
yeah.
ideally for 3 to 5 days. So yeah, it's been a journey, and also the whole piece of just scheduling like the routing and figuring out routing software. I mean, it's been a whole other ballgame, but it's been fun. And yeah, I could definitely see offering something like this to florists who are interested in starting subscription
Yeah.
services.
I love it. Okay, well that's a teaser for the future. If you're going
Yeah,
to if you're going to the ASCFG, you be sure to check out Molly's presentation. I'm hoping to be there, Molly. So I'll be in the
I
back of the
hope
room
so.
going woot woot. But before that, I will see you in your backyard in just 2 weeks.
Days.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Molly. This has been such a
You're
good
welcome.
preview. Yeah, and I'll
Thanks
let
for
you get.
having me.
You bet. I'll let you get back to all your to dos today.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Well,
Thanks
have a
so much.
good day, Deborah.
Okay,
Thanks.
hon. Bye bye.
Bye.
That was wonderful. Thanks so much for joining me today. You can find details to register for the June 29th New York City walking tour and studio tour of Molly Oliver Flowers at slowflowerssummit.com. Before I go, I'd like to thank our sponsors who bring this show to you. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 850 florist shops and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor, Farm Girl Flowers. Farm Girl Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $10 million of U.S. grown fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. Discover more at farmgirlflowers.com. Thank you to Red Twig Farms. Based in Johnstown, Ohio, Red Twig Farms is a family-owned farm specializing in peonies, daffodils, tulips, and branches, a popular peony bouquet by mail program, and their Spread the Hope campaign, where customers purchase 10 tulip stems for essential workers and others in their community. Learn more at redtwigfarms.com. Thank you to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, a farmer-owned cooperative committed to providing the very best the Pacific Northwest has to offer in cut flowers, foliage, and plants. The Growers Market's mission is to foster a vibrant marketplace that sustains local flower farms and provides top quality products and services to the local floral industry. Visit them at seattlewholesalegrowersmarket.com. Our final thanks goes to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high quality flower bulbs and perennials. Sorry, the pollen is killing me today. Longfield Gardens online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. The Slow Flowers Show is a member-supported endeavor, and I value our loyal members and supporters. If you're new to our weekly show and our long-running podcast, check out all of our resources at slowflowersociety.com and consider making a donation to sustain Slow Flowers' ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find the donate button in the column to the right at slowflowerspodcast.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of The Slow Flowers Show and the Slow Flowers Podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I'll see you next week.